J&J has emerged as the leader in the race for an Ebola vaccine. The company says it will have 250,000 dosages of an experimental vaccine by May and 1 million by the end of next year, while GlaxoSmithKline is still working out how to produce enough of its medicine already being tested. We want to look at this strategy, J&J's strategy now, with its chief scientific officer, Paul Stoffels, and our ace healthcare reporter, Shannon Pettypiece, joining us as well. You know, what I find so interesting, Paul, and I'll address this to you, is although there are a lot of skeptics, obviously, on Wall Street, it seems like a straight-up altruistic move. Like J&J is looking at this, investing $200 million, working with people who are normally competitors in order to be good world citizens. Is that the case?
Well, the case is an important one. Ebola is a global epidemic where it's out of control, and we were asked by the world community through the WHO, Dr. Margaret Chan, to provide a response to that as an industry having vaccines. And so we were asked to significantly accelerate because the disease is out of control. And since we have the capability, the capacity, we have the science, the technology, and the capacity to produce, we are gearing up the max we can to make as many vaccines as possible, as soon as possible, to help to the world to protect against Ebola.
And Paul, will you make a profit on this? Is this something J&J can make money off eventually?
Well, it's absolutely not the first objective here. We don't know. We are working hard in response to a global crisis, and afterwards we'll see. If the vaccine becomes a globally used vaccine one day, maybe we'll see how it goes on. But the first thing now is being as fast as possible to help the world get in control of this disease as the first and foremost objective.
Paul, describe for us where the development is right now. As I understand it, J&J plans to have these doses ready by May, but what needs to happen between now and May?
Yeah. What do we know today? We have done the testing of the prime boost at the NIH labs have shown 100% protection if you use two different vaccines, which is called a heterologous prime boost. And by combining the adeno-26 vector, including Ebola, we have combined with the MVA vector from Bavarian Nordic, we have been able to show in preclinical models 100% protection. What we also know is that in test batches we have been doing in the last few weeks, we have been able to significantly upscale. And we were able to produce 140,000 vaccines in a 10-liter vessel, which is now used to do the preclinical toxicity, the pharmaceutical formulation, everything which is needed to bring it up to the next round of GMP production. What we also know is that Bavarian Nordic can follow with that production in parallel with us. What we now have to do is do first safety trials in patients, which will start early January, as early as possible in January. And that will take us 2 to 3 months to learn whether the vaccine is well tolerated and gives immunogenicity. It gives protection, which we can measure in humans by taking blood. If we know that, we are ready to start large-scale phase 2-3 studies in May, as well as we'll have 250,000 vaccine combinations available to be deployed in the world to protect healthcare workers and people at risk living with family with Ebola.
Paul, I mean, this all sounds great, but there's a lot of risks around vaccine production, and you're moving at an unprecedented rate. We've never seen someone try and produce a vaccine this quickly under this type of circumstances. What are the risks? What are the cautionary things that people should be thinking about here?
Yeah, the risk, of course, is that we still need to test it in humans for safety, and that we'll know in the first 3 months of next year. But besides that, we know that we can make it. We know that it's effective in animals. And so the risk is now the next step on safety and immunogenicity. If that works out, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able in the course of next year to deliver a vaccine which hopefully can help people to protect. We also know that we can scale up to at least 1 million in the course of next year, about 250,000 per quarter. And we are working with industry partners across the world to even go further if we find the right capacity capabilities to do that.
Yeah, talk to me about that collaboration, because you're working with other companies over in Europe, but you're considering the possibility, if GlaxoSmithKline, for example, gets on the right track, to pool resources and work with even these big competitors. What's that collaboration like? Because it doesn't seem like something you see very often.
Well, we have seen an unprecedented reach out within the pharmaceutical industry between the senior executives on helping each other. And that includes not just GlaxoSmithKline, it also includes Pfizer and other companies who are bringing their production capabilities to bear. We are discussing that as we speak in order to accelerate even more than we can today.
So you're meeting with
capacity.
You're talking to the chief scientific officers at these other companies.
Yes, and Alex is talking to all the CEOs of these companies, so we'll make sure that everyone is working together here to get to the best possible results.
Paul, one thing I wonder, given the resources and time and effort that J&J is pouring into the search for an Ebola vaccine, what do you have to backburner as a result?
Nothing. I mean, I think the engagement you get in your organization is fantastic to do this. Everyone will put in the extra hours on top of what we do for the rest of the business today. So there is going to be no impact on any of our other programs. Our team is very dedicated, very encouraged to do that. And everyone in J&J, the 125,000 employees, all are committing part of their time on top of what they do normally for the company. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Now, you're looking for a vaccine which would help to protect hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of people from contracting Ebola in the future. Is there anything you're learning in that development process that could be applied to the work being done right now on Ebola treatments?
Well, I should highlight that the vaccine, of course, is to protect people who are not yet infected,
right?
And that will take time to deploy, etc. Of course, we have capabilities in other areas, and also there the industry is pulling together across all of the pharmaceutical companies to learn how we can quickly do what we do with vaccines now, bring to bear for drugs. And we are also part of that, and more news to follow in the coming months about that, because you will see an unprecedented effort in industry also to get this done, but then for therapy.
Paul, should have this collaboration been happening sooner now? I mean, now we're on a trajectory where we could have 10,000 people a week infected by December. Is this, why isn't this happening sooner?
It is what it is. We worked under the radar for already very hard for months. This is not that we started yesterday. What we learned in the last few weeks, why we are confident now to talk about, is that we were able to upscale the production. Because we have the Persis 6 cell line, which is a very unique cell line which can have huge yields in very small volumes, it helps us to go and accelerate that. And we had the confirmation that we can do this. Now that we have the confirmation, I'm very confident to talk to the world to say we are committed to do this in the shortest possible time, now that all of the technical elements have been validated. But rest reassured that this is not started yesterday. This started already months ago when we knew that Ebola was going to be a problem in the world.